Oh my god, this is something else being shown from my camera. Okay, this is nice. Okay, I'm in the other room. Oh my god, this room is so hot. Hey, Mr. Soros, I feel. Oh, I think the live has been started. So let's start playing. Let's begin the game. Let's have 5 minute blitz on the round. Let's roll up the game. All the best, Mr. Khatri. Let's see who is our opponent. So game is starting the opponent and Mr. The 1KZ is the opponent. Khatri begins with e4. e5 is the option from the black. Again takes by the queen. Attack from the knight. Queen goes away. Khatri is with some confusion trying to pick up the knight, the rook, but chooses the knight. Then opponent replies with g6. Again bishops come out. Khatri goes for castle. I don't think taking out the queen early was good option for Mr. Black, but I don't know what happened. What happens to the game? Queen comes to b4. Khatri replies back with b3. Khatri trying to figure out what tactics does the black player has, and queen takes the c3 square. Khatri trying to create some discovery attack here. I don't know what happens. Khatri is wandering the bishop around, attacking the c7 square. Will black players try to save it or not? Khatri is currently 3 points down from the black. Khatri is trying to resign. I don't think resigning is a good option, but let's see what does Khatri do. Again, bishop is looking into c7 square. Black has some good tactics rolling around. I think there are some chances of queen of black being trapped here. Let's see what the black player. Oh, black player actually takes, and it's actually aggressive gameplay from black player. Bishop get pinned to the queen. I don't think black has any new form of attack here. Let's see. Bishop attacks the queen from d2 squares, looking into d3, where there resides the queen. I think Khatri will get the bishop here. Black player with some attention to the attack, taking some time. Black takes the rook. There's a go. That was good side seeking from Mr. Black. Took the chance. Mr. Soros Thapa, what do you think? What sort of gameplay is this? Khatri is 7 points down, and again Khatri seems in good confidence. I don't know how short this confidence comes to Khatri. What do you think, Mr. Thapa?
Yeah, I think he will resign at the end.
I believe the same, but Khatri is moving with some confidence, moving around his mouse with some confidence, but I don't think he has some better gameplay this, and he resigns. Black wins the first game. PD is showing the first
Poor performance from
fight.
Sudeep Khatri.
We play again, same opening we see, but black refuses to take. Goes d4 here. Knight attacks from the center. Knight takes knight. Queen takes knight, and the knight protects the pawn in d4. Bishop pins the knight. I think he will attack the bishop. No, he will break the pin. Okay, double attack. Counter attack to the queen. Let's see what does black do here. Black gives a check. Bishop blocks the check, attacking the queen. Now white can give new form of attacks to black. Here white has some attacking ideas. Okay, queen takes b2 square. White attacks the knight in c5, I believe. Okay, the black knight has to move. White is ready to attack the queen with his bishop, black colored bishop, dark colored I believe. No, he doesn't attack. He seems a little confused. Time is running away. He leaves the pawn undefended. And knight takes the pawn. Now the queen is attacked. Bishop protects and again counterattacks the queen. The fortress of white seems pretty good, but white is creating some good attacks here as well. The bishop on g-file seems pretty fine there. It is pretty powerful there. Again, clap from the audience. Khatri seems pretty confused here. Time is running away. The queen of black in a4 is really powerful, guys. Let's see what happens. Khatri don't have any good square for the rook. Okay, there's a queen exchange. I believe the knight is gone. Yes, the knight is gone. Khatri is 1 point up. There is a pawn. What do you call that? Pawn. Okay, leave it. I don't recall the name of that. I think there will be bishop. Okay, the dark square bishops are gone. Now the bishop in light square attacks the knight while it is protected. Here rook can create some discovery checks on the king. Now the rook is under attack. Rook counterattacks the pawn and the bishop. Okay, the pawn on b7 is undefended. I think he will take it for sure. Again attacks the c7 pawn. Black castles, misses the pawn undefended. Let's see if Khatri takes or not. Yes, Khatri will take. There's attack to the rook. No! I don't know what sort of play is that from the black. We don't expect such gameplay in 1000 ELO, but let's see what happens in the game. Again, black player resigns. Khatri wins. He was really. That was a nice game, Khatri. GG's in the chat. Mr. Thapa, what do you think? Is Blitz better than Rapid, or do you like more classical games? Mr. Thapa?
The classical ones, bro.
Why do you prefer classical? Can you elaborate?
First, let me enjoy this game and then I will elaborate, okay?
Well, that is your preference. I respect that. Well, early queen attack from the whites. Black as Mr. Khatri is. And he's playing black. Black bishops, dark square bishop comes out. Khatri was anticipating some sort of bishop exchange, but he was unable to exchange the bishop. And the knight is pinned. Khatri trying to create some counter play, but blocks the pin with the bishop. Knight is creating some sort of maneuver there, but I don't know what will Khatri be anticipating out of this exchange. Let's see what happens. Mr. Soros, what do you think? Who will win this game? Is Khatri's position nice, better than Mr. Kovali position? What do you think?
I think this game will be a balanced one. It's not what should I say? It's early if I decide who will win this match. So let me enjoy the match first, okay?
Okay, thank you for your opinion, but I think the pawn of Khatri on A file is pretty weak. It is little undefended and also it is isolated. So I think Khatri should focus on the pawn, the isolated pawn, and the white's position is clearly better in this situation, I believe. Khatri is up to some sort of maneuver here, but he was unable to do that. Knight of white comes to center and again attacks the queen. Queen has to move to some square, but queen doesn't have any good square to move. Let's see what does the queen. Where does the queen go? Okay, I think queen chooses the c7 file. Yeah, But knight takes the rook, I believe. Yes, it does. Knight takes the pawn. I think knight might create some counter attack on white, but I don't know. The rook can be dangerous anyways. The rook gets exchanged, I believe. No, yes, it does. And there's a fork. Beautiful fork spotted by Mr. Khatri. But, yeah, it is a fork indeed. No. Oh, there can be a checkmate idea from Mr. White. Oh, yeah. Knight cannot be moved here. Oh, yes. Khatri gets the fork, gets the rook. And again, Khatri has better position now. The isolated pawn of Khatri on a5 became hero at the last. And I think it was a big blunder from Mr. White that he gave away rook in the fork. Khatri begins with e4, replies back with e5, knight comes to f3, another knight comes to c3, bishop pins the knight on f5. Khatri is ignoring pin. No, he attacks the bishop, breaks the pin, I believe. No, pin continues. Again attacks the bishop. Bishop get back to g6. Continuous counter attack to the bishop, and I think bishop is pretty blocked there. Bishop is pretty inactive there. Chances of double pawn there, but no, black won't give any such chances. Khatri is lacking experience in this complex situation. He seems pretty confused here. The isolated pawn is, again, I'm emphasizing the fact that isolated pawns are the weaknesses, and Khatri shouldn't left any isolated pawns, but he is continuously leaving away isolated pawns, giving away pawns to be doubled. I don't know what sort of a strategy does Khatri have. He's anticipating to put queen on g4. Yes, he does. Double attack on the rook on g7. Clap from the audience. Like that, bro. Okay, let's see what happens. Bishop takes the knight. Whether pawn takes or queen takes, we don't know. Khatri seems again confused. This sort of confusion will again create problem in the future games as well. Mr. Khatri has to be really careful with these complex situations. He has to gain experience and gain some confidence to play these games. I don't know what sort of mindset is he going through. Mr. Saroj Thapa, what do you think of this game? Again, knight comes to d7. Khatri goes for long castle. Now this game has come to a slow mode. When players are not ready to give away any pieces, they are not ready to sacrifice any pieces, they are continuously creating some sort of play with the existing pieces, not going for any exchanges. Mr. Khatri creates room for the king. That was a useful move from his side. Rook attacks the queen on h5. Queen has limited space to move. Now the king gets check from the dark square bishop. Again, the rook can attack the queen. There's small pawn exchange from both sides. Black's pawn is isolated on g file. I don't know what mindset and strategy is he playing with. Rook attacks the pawn. Khatri is 29 seconds running behind time, 29 seconds. Mr. Khatri is continuously giving away his precious time. I don't know what sort of idea is he creating in his head. Attacks the rook with the knight. The rook has limited space to go. Let's see what if rook retreats to his original square edge, but no, rooks find a new square and it is pretty strong square, but more or less it can be to a sword there. Mr. Khatri giving away his knight, sacrificing. But black doesn't take his knight. Mr. Khatri is trying to protect the knight with a pawn, but anyways, it is loss of 2 points. I don't know what sort of strategy does he possess within himself. It was Philidor defense starting opening, but pretty complex mid-game going on here. Both teams have equal points, but the position of black seems fairly more winning because the rooks are on more or less open file. The queen protects the rooks. Also, the bishop well developed. Little exchange of rooks, I believe. No, there isn't. Rook get backs to f5. Pawn is trying to break the chain, but Khatri retreats his picked up pawn. Yeah, the pawn is trying to break the position. Bishop attacks the queen, and I believe pawn attacks the other queen. It is some sort of counter attack from both sides. Yes, it is. And will there be a queen exchange? No, there won't be any queen exchange. The game has been in interesting position. The bishop attacks rook, bishop attacks queen, and I think Mr. Khatri is sacrificing his rook there. Yes, he is, and he is resigning after this shameful loss. Opens up with e4. We are seeing some Caro-Kann difference with modern variation here. Maybe some sort of subscriber fan of Gotham Chase, I don't know. Khatri has bishop and knight out, whereas the black piece only a knight is out. Okay, the queen is finally out. Maybe we can see some interesting position here. The pawn attacks the queen. The queen has to move away. Where will the queen find its best square? Again, retreats to his original position. Clapping from the audience. We support that. Thank you very much, Mr. Thapa. Khatri seems pretty confused in the initial positions of the game. I don't know what sort of confusion he has. It is pretty straightforward. Playing Caro-Kann defense, Alpine gambit. Black attacks the queen. Khatri cannot take the bishop because, okay, here's amazing find by Mr. Khatri. He can finally take the bishop with a check from Mr. Knight. Thank you, Mr. Khatri, for spotting such an amazing game. Okay, rook is under attack. The knight has to move. Knight has only one square to move. It is very forced move for the knight. I believe the knight will move certainly, and Mr. Khatri will take the pawn. The knight is now pinned. Bishop comes out to f. No, knight comes out to f3. The pin on the knight for d7 square has been removed with a castle, short castle by black there. Rook attacks the queen on c5. Queen attacks the pawn on a7. Let's see what happens. Will black protect the pawn or create some extra offense to the system? But no, black protects and also attacks at the same time. Khatri trying to kick out the bishop on c5, but I believe the bishop will move to b6. Rook of black comes to an open file, whereas the bishop of white, the dark square bishop, hasn't moved even a single square. The rooks of white are not connected yet. I don't know what Khatri is doing. Black is doing pretty good in this position, I believe. Khatri is also running out of time. I don't know. Khatri clearly seems to have worse position than the black. Maybe Khatri here is little anxious about the stream. I recommend him to play his natural game. Mr. Khatri, you can play your natural game. I think you can block the bishop, rook here with the bishop, dark square bishop. I don't know if that's some wrong play. Yeah, that was some sort of wrong advice from me. Sorry for that, Mr. Khatri. I don't know if Mr. Thapa is here or not. If he is listening to us, I anticipate some sort of applause from him. Okay, the bishop is pinned here. Oh no, there's some sort of mating idea, I believe. Oh, that's a mating idea from Mr. Black. Oh yeah. Khatri is 4 point up. Maybe black miscalculated the position and anticipated some other variations. I think Mr. Khatri should take the rook and two rooks. Taking two rooks is better than yeah, that is nice. Khatri is clearly winning now. It's a matter of time when Khatri wins. I believe this should be fairly easy win to Mr. Khatri. Khatri takes pawn on a7. The pawn hadn't moved even single square from its origin. Now it's fairly simple win for Mr. Khatri. Let's see how he wins this position. Okay, black simply resigns and Mr. Khatri wins, climbing back to the ELO 1038. Again, we have a player from Poland, Balan Grud 53. Let's welcome him. It starts with e4, e5, takes, and no takes. Sorry, pardon me, gentlemen. Khatri plays, attacks the knight. Knight has to move away, or other knight has to take. No, other knight doesn't take. Khatri has to protect it. No, that's the wrong way, I believe. No, that was the right way. Khatri never misses with black pieces. Well, that is some sort of rhyming from my side. Khatri never misses from black pieces. Whatever, that's again lame joke. The pin from the bishop has to be blocked by the knight. Bishop. Bishop takes knight. Bishop takes bishop. That was the story from the mid game. Khatri retreats his knight to an isolated corner on h file. No, Khatri takes the knight on f, forcing white to double his pawn. Again attacks the pawn on f3. Pawn attacks the knight. Knight is now safe. I believe central squares are better to be captured, better than isolated end file, the h file. Khatri is still lacking behind in terms of castling, but it is fairly good for Mr. Khatri. He is 1 point up, and the king of white is fairly weak here because the Z file is open in terms of pawn. The king protects the pawn on F file, but again, black has better position in this gameplay. King comes to H file, trying to create some attacking the pawn on H file. Rook comes to E4. Khatri trying to take pawn on S3, but retreats his king. No, I think he will take it. Yes, he does. It's interesting to see what Khatri will do. Khatri attacks, knight takes, and it is a check from Khatri. It is again discovered attack from Khatri, I believe. Khatri is trying to create discovered attack from bishop and take the queen, I believe. Yes, he does. Khatri was winning this and he asked for rematch, but I don't know. Rematch would be a good option because we want to explore new opponents. Here we have from US. He goes for Brian Cruz's opening. I believe this is a weak opening theory. Oh ho ho ho! This is very weak gameplay. Moving same pieces twice in the opening and the pawn moving one and one steps. I don't know if that was some sort of misclick from white. Black is clearly doing good in this position because he got an extra move in the beginning. That was pretty big advantage for Mr. Black, Mr. Khatri. Trying to play some useful moves. White plays his H pawn to S3. Knight gets out to F3. Khatri castles, short castles. Trying to get out his rook to open file, pinning the bishop, I believe. Yes, Khatri pins the bishop. Again, immediately the pin is dismissed. If that is correct word for that. Knight takes, bishop takes, knight gets out. Taking the knight and doubling their pawn would be nice, but Khatri missed it. Khatri is lagging behind in terms of time. He's literally down by a minute, but well, Khatri seems to have better position because he have the central squares controlled, but bishop needs to get out, needs to have better square. The rooks should be connected. Again, the queen doesn't have any good squares here. The pawn on G2 is pinned and Khatri is trying to attack the pawn on S3. Knight attacks the queen. Khatri takes the pawn on S3 here. The pawn on G2 is absolutely pinned. Khatri here, it is a checkmate. The white misses and Khatri has an amazing checkmate here. Congratulations, Mr. Khatri. With a new game, Khatri gets white pieces. Khatri sometimes misses with white pieces. Well, that was easy pawn exchange from both sides. Bishop attacks the knight. Knight moves to Z5, I believe. Yes, it does. Pawn will attack the knight. No, it doesn't. Because it would weaken the king's position anyways. Khatri is trying to sacrifice his knight, but I don't think sacrificing is a good option in the beginning. Does the bishop exchange anticipated? But no. We won't see any bishop exchange here, I believe. Yes, we won't see any bishop exchange in the beginning. But Khatri is anticipating anticipating some sort of bishop exchange. Black seems to take some time to move his pieces. Bishop pins the knight to the queen. The knight on g5 is pretty vulnerable. The pawn attacks the bishop. I think bishop will take the knight. No, it won't. Yet. I think there will be bishop exchange on g6 because it would double the pawn of black and it is pretty disadvantageous for black. I believe doubling the pawns. The bishop will take the light square bishop and black doubles their pawn. Rooks open up. Both of the team, I believe black is lacking a little behind in terms of pieces development. Of course, the pawn cannot take the knight because the rook is looking up into the other rook. There can be some sort of discovered attack to the knight on g4, but yet Khatri is hesitating to play it because the bishop way will be blocked that way. I don't know if Khatri would consider such moves. Well, he moves his rook to the open file, and if the knight on g3 is attacked, then the pawn on s3 remains unprotected. I don't know what Khatri's strategy is here. Maybe Khatri is looking into some other strategies than me. The open file of rook gets closed by the knight, moving to the h6 square. Khatri is trying to do some long castle here. Let's see what Khatri does. Khatri attacks the bishop. Dark square bishop gets exchanged here, I believe. No, Khatri doesn't exchange his bishop. Instead, sacrifices his knight, I believe. Yes, he does. And it is a check. If the pawn takes, yes, it is a check. Khatri will take the dark square bishop here, and again it is a check. No, it misses. The black plays wonderfully. Khatri trying to get the knight. Mr. White is lagging behind 2 points. Maybe he has some compensation of better position in this game, but 2 points is pretty big disadvantage. Knight can take the pawn on g6 anyways, but I think it will be protected in some ways by black. Oh, black misses, but no, yeah. The queen will be most probably exchanged. Anyways, the knight will protect the bishop, and I think the queens will be exchanged. Yes, there will be. The knight protects the bishop. Bishop takes bishop, I believe. And the knight takes the rook. I missed that, but Khatri didn't miss it. He spotted that right on, and I think the rook will take the pawn on g7, and there are some threats of checks and taking the rook on a8, but I don't know. Black piece with more than 1000 elo wouldn't do some city blunder. Rook takes the open file, e-file. Knight trying to jump to e7 and create some check attack. I don't know if that would be feasible for checkmate attack, But anyways, Khatri is trying to play that. He plays it. Khatri is ready with his pre-move of taking the bishop on e7, but no, bishop doesn't move, and instead the uh, king itself moved. Now there are some chances of discovered attack into the king. The white can take the knight of black, but I don't know, black will slip away in such pretty manner. Yes, it doesn't, but anyways, Khatri gets advantage of 2 points here, I believe. He seems pretty confused. Less than 1 minute remaining in the clock. Khatri is more than 2 points up in the heuristic evaluation chart. But Khatri is lagging behind in time. I think Khatri should capitalize his remaining time. He should play quick moves, prompt moves, give his intuition little room into his play. Mr. Khatri continuously trying to push his pawn to the way to the glory. Knight attacks the rook, knight attacks the pawn. I think pawn should be defended, Mr. Khatri. But e4 for defense was a better option because the rooks can now be attacked. Both of the rooks can be now attacked at once. I don't know if Khatri played this move pretty in a good manner or not. Anyways, both of the team are lagging behind in time, but Khatri's Peshaway has less than half a minute remaining. Attacks the knight, trying to create pass a pawn and mark his way to the glory. Mr. Khatri is less than a minute, and the opponent has 1.5 minutes remaining. The rook is under attack. Khatri gets out of the attack, trying to create the passive pawn. Gives a check. Less than 20 seconds remaining. I think Khatri will lose this in terms of time, but let's see what the Almighty has to say about this. The passer pawn is continuously moving its way to become the queen, but well, the knight can take the pawn obviously because the rook remains undefended there, but misses. Khatri has to move. The rook should be away from the king, I believe. But the rook doesn't have any proper square. There is a fork right there. If the rook is moved to e7 square, there's a fork right away. Okay, that is a fork way. There, if black can sport, there is a fork there. If black black misses the fork. Khatri grabs the opportunity to give attack on black side. I think Khatri will lose this on time. 3 seconds remaining. Oh my god, some sort of chaotic gameplay going on here. Khatri moving randomly, I believe. Yes, Khatri is moving randomly. Less than 11 seconds remaining for the black, and Khatri has less than 2 seconds remaining. Khatri is pre-booking all the moves, and again Khatri lost on time. That was pretty unfortunate for Mr. Khatri. I was emphasizing the time, and now Khatri is pre-booking all the moves. I don't know if he's bringing his ego, the ego from earlier game to this present game. I don't know if ego is pretty useful in the game of chess. Mr. Khatri, you have to play keeping your ego aside. You cannot intercept your other game's emotion into the newer games. Here we have Caro-Kann defense in the play. Caro-Kann defense is pretty dangerous for white. Khatri showing little expertise in Caro-Kann defense. There's chance of en passant, but I don't think white will spot it. Yes, it does. Chances of attack on the bishop, but bishop is well protected from the queen, very far side of the board from the bishop, but yet it protects the bishop. I don't know why Mr. Khatri is moving his king towards center of the board, keeping the king vulnerable in the center. Seems pretty bad idea from the side of Mr. Khatri, but yet he is a thousand elo. He must have some strategy to in his back of the mind. That was a long run for the king to get to the other side of the board, I believe. The bishop is under attack. The pawn is protected by the knight on c6. The bishop gives a check to the king. The two bishops of white are pretty powerful in f4 and g4 squares. They are holding a lot of squares there. Bishop moves to h2. The bishop on g5 should be under attack by this move, but no, Khatri tries to take it. Yes, he does take it. Queen comes to center of the board. g5 played by Mr. Khatri. Pawn pushed and bishop is under attack. The white queen is pretty powerful here. The black king is very weak, I must say. That was a missed play from Mr. Khatri to play his king towards the center of the board. That was a pretty chaotic maneuver from Mr. Khatri. Khatri seems more or less very confused today in today's gameplay. I don't know what things are influencing him for the same. Khatri attacked the queen. White queen has very large range of squares to move. Goes to e2. The knight is quite literally blocked there. Knight can move to the center of the board. The knight has to go to the corner. And this is pretty bad position for black. The white is really winning the situation in terms of time, in terms of position, in terms of evaluation chart, I believe. Okay, black is trying to create some counterplay here. Let's see, black succeeds. Yes, it does. Black takes knight, gets the lead in the point, 2 points lead. That is pretty good lead in the point. There is a rook exchange, I believe. Khatri has pre-booked, but no, there is no rook exchange. I believe Khatri can give exchange opportunities, but he doesn't. But can give check from f4 square and play other moves, I believe. First give check, Mr. Khatri. Yes, he does give check and goes for the exchange now only. Again, the white has to face. The pawn can be pushed and the check can be avoided any time, but I don't know what will white do. Yes, white. Khatri decides to give away his queen for 2 rooks, but resigns in this game. Mr. Khatri, I recommend you to analyze that game, but Khatri didn't listen to us. That's fine anyways. Here we have Italian, later turned into Philidor defense. Some chances of Scholar made there, but no chance. Knight comes out. A strong pawn chain being created by Mr. Khatri. Bishop on c4 was attacked, but Khatri immediately retreats from that position. Knight takes knight, bishop takes knight. Pawn exchange there. Chance of yes, Khatri can take the pawn now. No, he doesn't. Now he can take the pawn, I believe. No, he can't. Amazing positional gameplay from Mr. Black. Black is yet to castle, but doing good. I think Mr. Khatri is doing better in this game, but yet the bishop of Mr. Khatri, the light square bishop, is anyways blocked there. Attack the bishop. Now the bishop has to maneuver through the corners of the board. Khatri is lagging behind 24 seconds. Yet time has been great up. Khatri can take the pawn on f6. I don't know if he spots this or not. I think he will spot it right away, but let's see what's into the mind of Khatri. f6 pawn is obviously undefended. If there's any attacking idea from Mr. Black, I don't know. I cannot spot that right away here. But yes, Mr. Khatri takes f6 pawn that was undefended. Now Khatri can have some check ideas moving around, attack the bishop. The rook attacks. I think the bishop is undefended and can take the bishop. Yes, he does take the bishop, and Khatri won this game by resignation. That's pretty weak start from white side. That gameplay, that position is often considered a poor gameplay in the beginning. Yet white might have some great playing idea perhaps. Khatri with initial check, taking his queen out early. I don't know if this can be beneficial or not, but oftentimes queen shouldn't be taken out early. The fox said. The bishop is wandering around the board, but Khatri attacks the bishop comes into the action, double attack on the knight, but I don't think the queen will take the knight. Nevertheless, the queen comes to f3 square, knight gets out, the rooks get connected, the pawns get doubled. No, the pawns don't get doubled, doesn't get doubled here. Knight trying to create some central attack. Pawn attacks into the center, trying to threaten the knight on c5. The rook takes the open file, e-file. The knight goes to the right hand side of the board, the a-file. Knight looking into e3 square, trying to block out the queen there. Khatri into the lead of 3 points. That was amazing sight. Amazing sight. I don't know if Khatri is ready for an exchange right away, but I think exchange should be fairly easy to do for Mr. Khatri as he is 3 points up. I think Rook should be exchanged, but Khatri don't think so. Knight takes knight, other takes knight again, the pawn takes knight, I believe. Yes, it does. The rook attacks the rook, pins it to the queen. I think the rook is now gone, but the king can attack the other rook. But no, resigns. Khatri has regained his form, I believe. Mr. Khatri, amazing gameplay from your side. Amazing positional play. Early entry of the queen seems pretty dangerous for the black side here. I don't know what sort of strategy black is playing with. Yet, is it a bully kind of gameplay? The black takes out his queen, get it back to its original position. I don't know what black is trying to do here. But that was a blunder from Mr. Khatri. Okay, it wasn't blunder. It was a mating idea, I believe. Yes, it was a mating idea. I missed it. Sorry, Mr. Khatri. The black seems very surprised in the beginning and he lags behind in terms of positional development. White is leading far more ahead in terms of positional development. Yet another attack on the queen from black knight. Queen goes away and refrain itself from the attack. Goes to f3 square. Pretty safe there. White has good position here. The pawn on d5 seems unprotected. I think there should be created a pawn chain to strengthen its position. That there was bishop exchange. The pawn on d4 is undefended. I don't know whether he will take it. Oh, he takes, but other knight, not the pawn. Long castle by black. The pawn on d4 gets protected from both sides. The queen, the other pawn, that's pawn companion right there. I think anticipation of queen exchange, and it does exchange actually. Now white is clearly winning this position. Has control to the center, two rooks connected, better strength to the king of white. I think white is clearly winning in this position. If Khatri loses from this position, that would be pretty shameful. Rook comes to the open e file. Does the rook exchange? I believe yes, there is a rook exchange. Chances of Baccarat met, but I don't think Khatri will slip away such easily. Khatri has to create some escape route to the king. No escape routes to the king for now. Well, the king is moving towards the center, maybe trying to control more squares from there. Some typical set of gameplay. Black is trying to create a Baccarat mate here, but won't be this easy, I believe. Khatri won't slip away this easy, I believe. Khatri is trying to exchange rooks, I guess. Yes, he is trying to exchange his rook. But no, again, black tries for Baccarat mate. Is black trying to bully Mr. White? I don't know, but there are no chances of Baccarat mate now. Yet black comes to the back rank. Khatri has to find winning moves from here. The game is in pretty crucial position here. Khatri cannot slip away any moves. Khatri cannot give away some easy pawns here. He's up by 5 points. The the ominous shadow is never out of the way in chess. Khatri has some checking idea, but no mates here. Gives a check. The king moves. Again another check. The pawn continuously pushed towards the way of glory. Another check. Now the king is being pushed away from the way of the pawn. The pawn moves forward towards the way of being a newer queen. Black has to find some surviving tactic from here or just resign right away. I think white can take the pawn on g6 and still his passing pawn will be protected by the bishop. Yes, Khatri loses his bishop but takes the rook. That was an amazing sight. Khatri is ahead of time. He has multiple passive pawns. I don't know why he is still not resigning. Yes, he does resign this game. And Khatri has having amazing form in this stream. Gets another win, another glory. We have Italian opening. A fast-moving game is what we see here. The knights and the bishops continuously attack into the center. The pawn on g2 is undefended. The rook is attacked. The rook has to move to f5. Yet the other pawn will be unprotected. The queen has to move. Yes, it is the resignation that was most likely. The best move here was resigning from black side. After that quick, fast-moving game, we have an D4 start from Mr. White, coming from Australia, I believe. White is trying to occupy hold a bunch of space in the center, but Black won't give any chance. He has been having an amazing form today. There will be exchange bishop. I am experiencing some sort of lag. I don't know if that is from Mr. Khatri or my internet is breaking apart. Again, we are witnessing some quick, fast moving, get it right away kind of game here. Yet Khatri is lacking behind in terms of positional development. Two double pawns are obviously not good, but it can be broken anytime, anywhere. The queen is trying to come to e7, but no, Khatri attacks the bishop, I believe. Khatri develops his bishop and exchanges it right away. No, he doesn't exchange his piece. The knight defends, sorry, the knight creates a fortress for the bishop. Castling has been a far cry for both of the teams, both of the party. I don't know, Khatri, that is a good option or not because the knight will attack it. Yes, it will, and also the bishop will be undefended. So it is two-edged sword, I believe. The queen is trying to move somewhere, Khatri lagging behind in terms of time, trying to castle, creating way for the castling. White castles, black castles, and we enter into the mid game. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Isolated double pawn at the end. No, we don't see that. Khatri is lagging behind literally half a minute from white. Okay, the position of both of the teams seems pretty similar, but the passer pawn of white can be a real danger to the black. The isolated double pawns are real threats to the system. Khatri is really having a tough game here, trying to attack with a checkmating idea. The white would obviously spot that right away, I believe. Let's see what white plays here. He has a bunch of options. He can play g3. Yes, he plays g3. Now sacrificing knight on d4 square doesn't make any sense. Yet another mating tactic from Mr. Khatri, but I don't think white is a dumbo. The black king is pretty weak due to the open g file, and knight is coming towards the king, can create some real problems right there. The king can attack the queen, the knight can attack the queen from gf5 square. I don't know what defense idea does Khatri has here. Khatri trying to retreat from d6 into d8. I don't know if he will move to d8 or not. Yes, he would. Now the pawn is taken by Mr. White. Well, that is a take from Mr. White, but doesn't affect a lot, I believe, and Khatri resigns. That was poor gameplay from Mr. Khatri. Lacking behind in time, lacking behind in terms of positional gameplay. That was pretty poor game. Thank you. Well, we say here's Queen's pawn opening, defending with Caro-Kann. That wasn't Caro-Kann. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. There's pin from Mr. Khatri to the knight. The bishop blocks the pin. The bishop takes the knight. The bishop comes out, attacking the central diagonal. I don't know if I'm getting really too excited or sometimes over saying something, but I don't know. Bishop takes the knight on f3, and I think no. Oh, Khatri was leading by 3 points, and yet 3 points would be lost in no time. Obviously, Khatri has good pawn chain, but it is not helping him in any ways here. The bishops of white are pretty active, both on the active leading diagonals there. Khatri has some strong pawn chain. In the queen side of the game, the queen comes out. The pawn chain seems pretty identical for both of the teams, but the bishops are more active. Here, the knight attacked the queen, knight attacked the bishop, and the queen moved away. Now, I think there's a chance of breaking the pawn chain by Mr. Khatri, but let's see what happens. Time will tell, time unveils everything. Mr. Khatri seems more or less really confused, as he has seemed in every game. Khatri is taking all of his pieces. I don't know if that helps him. He is trying to break his pawn chain. Yes, he is penetrating towards the fortress of white. He is moving ahead. Khatri has a pawn on central square on e4, defended by the knight. Takes the pawn, which attack the pawn. The knight moved ahead. Chance of a fork. I don't know if white will spot. Yes, the white spots it. But there was a sick idea from Mr. Khatri that was pretty spot on. The bishop on C1 is a real problem to Mr. Khatri here. The bishop has to be kicked away anyways. I don't know if he has some ideas about it, but the knight can obviously take on e3 because the rook has protected it. I believe Khatri will take the pawn, give the check. Khatri is wandering around his pieces. My god, that was amazing checkmate. Even I couldn't spot it, and the opponent is asking for a rematch, but a rematch wouldn't be so ideal. Khatri, Mr. Khatri, I think that was it for today. This should be your last game for today. I mean, you know what I mean, Mr. Khatri? Opponent goes for Sicilian defense, followed by French variation. I don't know if Khatri has some well preparation on this variation. White replies with b5. No, he replies with bishop e3. Knight comes to its typical position in this variation. We are looking into Sicilian defense, 4 knights variation, double pawn, chance for Mr. Khatri, always you want. Okay, no double pawns for now. Anyways, the bishop has to be kicked or the pin has to be broken. Okay, castles, and the pin is no more active. After 8 moves, both of the team has pretty identical position, positional development. I mean, yet Khatri attacks queen with his knight, but the pawn will take the knight, I believe. Yes, it does. And the pawn takes the bishop that was there standing till on c3 waiting for his end. Bishop is continuously relocating his position in his gameplay. Castling, sword castling by Mr. Black. He's Pablo from India. Sorry, I don't recognize this flag. Khatri is trying to attack the isolated pawn. No, that's not Oh yeah, it is isolated, but it is defended by a knight. Anyways, I think the pawn will take the pawn to break double pawn. The middle game seems pretty equal for both of the opponents. Both are running on the same time frame. We have an open position here. The bishop attacks the rook on f5. The rook refrains itself from the attack and moves to f2, I believe. Yes, it does. No, it doesn't. He seems pretty confused and again lagging behind in time. He had equalized his time, but he was confused in the middle and he he lagged behind time. The rook takes the open file, which is always useful. The bishop attacks the bishop. I think there's a simple bishop exchange happening here on the e file. Yes, there's a bishop exchange happening, a sort of treaty that went pretty good there. This game can end in a draw, but in a blitz game where there is a chaotic end, we don't expect any blitz at the end. Well, Mr. Khatri, it is a slow game happening. Probably this is the last game for this stream. Attacks the knight. Knight has to move. Knight has limited spaces to move. Now rook is sacrificed. No, it is not. Get the fork, gets the rook, and Khatri is clearly losing this position. If Khatri has good luck, he may get a back rank mid, but I don't think that's sort of game we observe in this level of the game, and Khatri resigns. Okay,